Here we have Tristan Palmer, student pilot, who's about to show us how to do a textbook first solo. At the moment we're just going back over various things about when I stand outside the helicopter. I'm going to sort of doing some arm signals, really just to assist rather than to tell him what to do. When raising my arms, it's really me just saying, look Tristan, as far as I can tell, there's no reason why you shouldn't try and get it off the ground. It's not an instruction, it's just a bit of reassurance, if nothing else. So we're just going back over that and how it's going to sit in the hover. It's going to feel a bit more nose up because 68 kilos has just got out. And I'm just sort of demonstrating now kind of the attitude it will probably adopt as it comes off the ground, so it'll feel like the front's coming off first. And what we don't want particularly is the back lifting, so I'm just showing him that at the moment so he gets to understand that. Because as we explained to everybody, you know, you're going to discover this sensation, this new helicopter by yourself. We can only give you guidance as to what it's going to look and feel like. And that's that crucial moment, that first lift. And again, just reminding him that the cycle is only going to be off slightly more to the left and a little bit forward, but it will probably feel way more than it really is, because by now, with the experience that a student pilot's got, they become incredibly sensitive to the little changes in attitude. Just a 1 degree here or there feels like quite a lot when you're flying by now. Just reminding him there, look, if I move my arms down, probably put the lever down because maybe I've spotted something that I don't like the look of. Not necessarily he's flying, could be something's occurred behind him and I just want him to stay on the ground for that moment. I'm just suggesting now that after he's lifted, just to wait there, because Elstree is a very, very busy airport, great to train, and because of it's busy, so you get used to traffic and lots of talking on the radio, etc. So again, really just reminding him, just reassuring him. That's me now just talking on the radio to the tower, just letting them know as planned I'm going to hop out and it'll be a student first solo. And the formality of Tristan will then need to do a radio call just to let them know he's ready to lift. There's been a change of captain, so the tower's meant to then once again reiterate the runway that's currently being used and the QFV, and he'll just need to read that back. So I've done my part, just making notes of the times I'm about to hop out. Tristan becomes the pilot in command. I'll have also reminded him just to make sure he's definitely got hold of the controls. Doesn't have a vice-like grip, but in particular the throttle. As we climb out, as instructors, we have to climb over the collective lever outside. If we're not careful, we could easily catch that with our leg, and it would roll on the throttle. It would even override the governor. So it's just a little reminder. We're always very careful when we're climbing out, not to knock anything. That's it, he's on his own now. I also find standing in front of the helicopter quite a useful technique for those student pilots on their first go, because it encourages them to look up, look outside, rather than focusing inside the aircraft or too close. But do remind them, don't stare at me, don't focus on me, I'm just there for a bit of guidance at the end of the day. So I've had a little look round, and if if everything looks good, I'll sort of give a thumbs up just to start that process. Tristan will then squeeze that trigger on the cyclic, have a chat with the tower, let them know it's ready to lift, as discussed. Once he's had his reply from them, his read back, he'll do some pre-takeoff checks as per normal, all standard stuff. So he'll look inside, make sure everything's okay inside, he'll have a look around him, just make sure he's happy. There he is, just checking the area, make sure there's nothing that's going to disturb him. Gently, just lifting that collective lever, watching, feeling, just easing off the ground. You can see he's just applying that left cyclic there. There goes the nose, lifting slightly first. And very good. A classic, just a tiny little wobble after lifting, just as they settle down for that first time. He's just doing the radio call now for circuit north by the looks of it. And off he goes. Now on that short final to the north side grass. Just transitioning back to the hover. Again, the helicopter will feel a little different to what he's used to. Slightly nose up attitude. He's done a good job. Nice and steady. He hasn't got too low or too high. Controlling the yaw. Now we'll be trying to find that nice spot to put the helicopter back down again. Looking nice and steady, not staring at the ground, just relaxing, looking ahead, and yeah, a perfect landing, very nice. Well done, Tristan. Not be praying, by the way, that's me just taking some photos. Got to capture that moment. See, I put my heads in straight away just so I can congratulate him, just remind him not to let go of the controls. I'll climb back in, just got to get my coat off first. It's quite cold out there, it looks lovely, but it is a little chilly. How did it feel? Okay, careful how we climb in, just we don't knock the controls or accidentally roll off the throttle, which wouldn't be a problem actually this time around. Whilst it's real fresh in our minds, possibly a quick recap of what I saw and how good a job he did. And how the cycling, because he was telling me now, gosh yeah, it really did feel like I was leaning forward and off to the left of the cycling. And in reality, as you saw in the video, it's only a small amount, but it feels like such a big shift after what you're used to. Then it's another radio call to the tower, number 2 on board, ready to lift again. And head back to the flying school for tea and medals. I will just remind him again that, of course, it's changed, so you've just started to get used to it being a solo pilot and how it flies, and now suddenly that's it, it's back to 2 on board and a slightly different hover attitude, not quite as much spare power anymore. Still clearing turns just to check it's all safe, because as you saw there's other helicopters operating out there. Yep, there we go, back to heli apron west.